So my name is Joel Bergner, and my background is as a muralist and artist, and also I focus on community-based programs and projects that include children and youth and people of all kinds. I've worked in, prisons and refugee camps in many different environments. And so we have an organization called Artolution that I'm going to be discussing today. And we mainly focus on arts-based programming that focus on collaborative art making, especially in order to achieve a strength in mental health, psychosocial support, and educational outcomes for community members, especially children and youth. Although we do have several programs also for families and adults. And these are primarily in areas of conflict or crisis, such as refugee camps, conflict-affected communities, and also in public housing in the United States. And so what we do is we train and hire local artists to facilitate dynamic educational arts programming in crisis-affected communities. So we provide creative platforms for our participants to tell their own stories and build positive relationships and learn tools for self-expression and collaborative art making. This picture here is from a summer program that we did in New York with young people who were asylum seekers from many different countries. So we have programs in several countries around the world. Our most established and long-running programs are in Uganda, Jordan, Colombia, and Kenya. Much of this is in refugee camps or in refugee communities, both with refugees as well as host community members. The one in Kenya is in Kibera, which is an informal settlement. But today I'm going to focus mainly on our program in Bangladesh, which is in the Rohingya refugee camp located in Cox's Bazar. And we have established a program back in 2018. We have usually our team is around 20 teaching artists. You can see many of them here in the picture, and we work primarily with children and youth. So these are artists who are trained in how to provide arts-based educational programming, but also to focus on mental health and well-being in their practice. So a little bit about the Rohingya crisis. So in 2017, there was in August of 2017, the Burmese military began to attack Rohingya villages in Rakhine State in Myanmar. This was after many decades of persecution of the Rohingya people. And during that time, they massacred tens of thousands of civilians and burned entire communities to the ground. The Rohingya genocide caused a massive displacement of over 700,000 Rohingya who fled across the Naf River to Bangladesh. So now they live in a precarious situation in the largest refugee camp in the world, which is over 1 million people. There's actually been a lot of people who've come over since 2017. And so that's why the number is now at 1 million. We remember those who that were lost during the brutal violence and arduous journey, and we are now working for a better future for these survivors. I should mention also this child in the picture is from our one of our programs and was depicting some of the experiences he went through during that time. So this is what the camp looks like now. It's really densely packed, and these are mostly people who came from the countryside and were used to a lot more space. So this has been a very difficult transition to be living in this kind of environment. And I was there a few months ago for my latest field visit. So here's me with our team, and they're just really, really sweet people. They baked me this cake to welcome me, and So these are all creatives, artists. We know that in any community around the world, you're going to have people who are artists or craftsmen or who are, people who are creative in one way or another, and that they have the capacity, if they are trained, to be able to provide educational and mental health programming for the young people in their community. So that's kind of the premise of our work. We know that this is this powerful force that exists that may not always be tapped into in any community around the world. So these artists have done, they create these murals and paintings that are now all throughout the camp in different centers. This one you can see their journey across the Naf River. You can see their villages burning in the background from 2017. And so they do a lot of storytelling as a way to remember their history and their culture, and also to really focus on what is our future? What do we have hope for the future? What are the positive activities that we want to focus on? And so they're working with young people, children in the camp. This is Rifa here, one of our lead artists, the woman in the pink hijab, and she is leading a workshop with these kids in which they are discussing the artwork that they want to create collaboratively together and talking about different issues going on in their community. So much of our work focuses on drawing and painting publicly, collaborating on mural projects. So this one was of elephants, which are also have also migrated and who many Rohingya really associate themselves with. And you can see that there are many different people who collaborated on this piece. So it is in the one sense, it is many different paintings and works of art, and also it is one cohesive work of art. So this is something that we do a lot, is this kind of project. We also work on sculptures made of trash and found objects, which we call the foundstrument soundstrument. It's a way to learn about recycling and about the environment. We have music-based programming in which the children get to learn songs and singing and even make up their own original songs as well as folkloric songs. We have introduced recently some digital art and design, which allows the artists and the community members to learn new skills and also to have new ways to earn income, which is always a really important goal of our community members there. We've introduced as well stop motion animation using clay, and so the kids are learning to create their own original characters. They each have an origin story and a superpower and a name and a background, and then they learn how to animate them and make short films. So learning all kinds of different skills with this project. So this is something actually new that I taught them when I was there the last time. So we're always looking at new activities to bring to our team so that so that there's different ways to make an impact there. So these programs are really focused on mental health and psychosocial support, as well as, of course, being educational. So we focus on building positive and healthy relationships, activating social networks, strengthening resilience, creating a sense of belonging and self-esteem and self-confidence, building self-efficacy, and creative expression. And we really believe in community artists as educators and non-clinical mental health care providers. And that's something that Sarah also mentioned, and I really loved that this idea that mental health is not just a therapist or a psychologist, it is also, there is impact in the area of mental health that can be done by creatives, by artists, by people who facilitate programs within any given community. And I will end with this quote from one of our artists, Dildar, who lost both her husband and her father in the genocide and was very much traumatized when she came over. She said, "We were in Myanmar and just lived as detained people, and we lost our family members and our husbands and fathers. There is a horrible situation inside of Myanmar. When I arrived in Bangladesh, I couldn't even speak, and I was traumatized, and I wasn't able to communicate to the people because I didn't feel anything or even that I was alive. People would share many things and ask me questions, but I was just quiet. When I worked and engaged with Artolution, I started to speak. I feel I got my life back and I was reborn. And I tried to speak and I continue to speak. This is not only me. Around the camp, there are thousands of people like me. When I work with different people in different camps, I help them to speak. I want to help all of the people. Those who do not have a voice, they can raise their voice and they can say whatever they want. This that is what I want to continue working towards every single day. And she's someone who really, especially in an extremely conservative environment, being a woman and having this leadership role and being a professional and being able to be a role model for children and especially for girls has been this very, very powerful experience for Dildar and for the other girls. Um, and lastly, I wanted to say that we partner with UNHCR, with UNICEF, with many different humanitarian agencies and UN agencies, and we're really working towards this idea of mainstreaming the arts and culture as a really impactful set of tools for mental health, psychosocial support, and education. Just as sports was mainstreamed in the past, we want the arts to also be mainstreamed. And so that's something we're working on with our partners. And I'm at 10 minutes, so I'm going to leave it there. Thanks, everyone.